Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Deconversion Stories. Today, I'm chatting with my friend. Well, as you see here, the name says Nidimos or Nidimos.
I'll accept most pronunciations. It's fine.
Okay, but it's actually his name is Nicholas, actually, as it says in the banner and whatnot. So, basically, do people ever call you Nick, or do they use the whole name?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Nick? Okay.
Well, actually, online, Doug Pine Creek has a high affinity for calling me Nicholas, and now I'm just more used to it.
All right.
So,
well, that's okay.
yeah.
Well,
So whatever.
As a time saver, we'll call you Nick.
Yes, please.
Look at all that time we saved by just dropping.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was like, oh, now I'll be able to finish that self-portrait I've been working on my entire life.
Anyways, Nick, what we do here is we talk to people about their journeys away from whatever belief systems they're once a part of, and I just got to ask people to sort of start as far as they can remember, and take us through that journey and the ups and downs and how it affected your life.
Yeah, great. So I'll start from what I would consider my spiritual beginnings, which would be as like a adolescent. I grew up not really going to church. I knew that my mom had gone to like what we called Catholic Mass. And my dad didn't want to have anything to do with church. And my mom took me to like a few Christmas masses, and I thought those were really weird. Didn't like them at all. The Stations of the Cross over you, and the standing, sitting, kneeling from Northern Ohio. I heard the coins.
Yep.
I'm from Ohio, and I wasn't having that as a kid, and all the singing. I didn't like it. And then my mom tried taking me to like a non-denominational, it was called Friends churches, kind of back in the early mid 90s, before it was like hip to say we're non-denominational, or at least I think so from my perception of it. So we were going to like a Friends church, and I thought it was okay, but I didn't love it. And I thought reading the Bible was kind of interesting, like the watered down kids versions I was getting from like Sunday school. I thought it was kind of interesting, but also pretty weird. To me, it seemed like cartoons. Even then, I was like, this is just weird, crazy stuff. Like all the animals on a boat. Okay, like sure. And so growing up, like I was pretty nerdy. I got made fun of a lot, and I
couldn't tell by that background.
Not at all. And
what is that, by the way?
So these are actually all pages of adult coloring books. Yeah, my plan is to gradually color them in while I'm bored during work from home.
Oh, nice.
We'll see. Or like I need like a mental breather from coding, and I'll just go pen in Thor or something for a little bit.
It looks like you got some like ectoplasm floating around your head there.
Yeah, so I bought a party light from Walmart to spice up my life. My kids love it. It has like a music mode where it pulses to beats, so that's pretty fun. So anyway, I think it makes like a fun video backdrop if I'm gonna be on camera with my face. So
sure.
Especially and my coworker is gonna donate me his Twitch cam as he upgrades his. So. Nice. I'll have an even sexier camera for when I actually get around to my channel. So anyway, back to adolescence. So I just never really connected well with kids at Sunday school, never really had like a strong friend group that was particularly religious. And my parents kind of were all over the place with coming to church on and off, whatever. And I remember going through a lot of bullying and issues in my family that made me think like, if God is real, like why do I go through all this crap? Like why does my life suck? I feel like I was a really kind of existential 13-year-old by the time that came around, and I had a lot of family trauma that happened around then, and I remember actually cursing God and being like, ooh, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you making my life like this? Like, we had to move houses. We almost lost our house for a while. And so I was pretty angry. I thought if God was real, I don't want everything to do with him. So eventually, though, I go off to college. Like I somehow make it through high school, and I basically doorknob head. God, you doo-doo head. But with more Rage Against the Machine and Korn lyrics or something.
Yes. Fuck you, I won't do what you told me.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, and I started listening to like Mudvayne and Slipknot around then too. But anyway, I go off to college, and I actually got like a scholarship to go to a Christian college. And so, I went to this Christian college in the middle of nowhere, Ohio. And
I've been there.
Yeah. It was a Mennonite school. So Doug loves it because I actually know stuff about Mennonites. They even had a statue of Menno Simons there. I don't know if you know who that is. It's basically the prime of Mennoniteness. But I had to take like required Bible study classes there. And me being this kind of like agnostic and frustrated, young man, being like forcefully directed toward these Bible classes really brought the cognitive dissonance for me the other way. So it was like, oh man, I'm being confronted with all this God data, right, that I've never been confronted with before. Like the ideas of the atonement, the ideas that God could like love humans, that this was a thing that actually happened in history with this person, Jesus. And it was just in the back of my head through all the classes that I took. Like I took an early history of Christianity class where we learned about like the Gnostics and Origen and Augustine, and that we had to write papers on that stuff. And then I had to do a biblical lit class where we had to do a commentary on, by commentary, I mean the most bullshit liberal arts essay you could possibly fart out before you absolutely need to get a grade about the Sermon on the Mount or whatever. I read it now. Like I read it as a Christian not long after that and was like, this is garbage. And now I read it now and I'm like, it was garbage that I thought it was garbage, but it was still garbage. Like, so anyway, I made it through 4 years of school around all these Christians. I met my now wife there, and I get out of college, and I had some rough patches in college, some personal traumas and things that happened in there that still made me question, like, if this Christianity thing is real, like, why does my life still look like this kind of big mess, right?
Right.
And so I tried to get a job for a while out of college, and it was just after the recession. So this is like 2008. So it was just really hard for anyone to get a job like right out of school. And I was working at a Panera Bread and living with my parents, which I was like, this is not what I want to do. I'm like a 23-year-old dude that like doesn't want another dad, like my parents had divorced and stuff. And my stepdad and I like really butted heads, and I was just going through a lot. And I would go out to bars. I would go to goth nights. I would get pretty drunk and stuff like that and do whatever. And that, was causing a lot of tension in my life with my parents.
Right.
And I was up late, real late one night, coming home from the bar, and this girl stops me and she goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Just coming home. What's up?" And she's like my age. And she's like, "Are you a believer?" And I'm like, what kind of question is that? In what? Like, she's like, "Jesus, silly." I was like, okay, this is the conversation I want to have at 2 a.m. No, thank you. And so she's like, "Oh, come on. Like, you should come to my like Bible study group or whatever. They're all our age and they're really nice and they'll be your friend." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm really lonely." So, okay. So I like go to this church in like the Cleveland area. And I did really connect with the people, and they were really nice. I was reading the Bible again for like the first time in like probably like a year. That wasn't required of me. And I remember going to that church and being like a lonely and kind of desperate person for like connection, and hearing this idea that you're always loved, that there's always someone to accept you, like no matter what you've done. And I'm thinking back through like college and high school going, yeah, I did some stuff I'm not exactly telling my parents about, you know. That idea was just really profound to me at the time. And so I got excited about it. And I even was like, you know, God, if you're real, give me a real job. Give me a big boy job. That'll show me, right? That's my miracle. That was my wet napkin back then. When people my age get jobs all the time, right? But so I actually, not like 2 months late, like a month later, I got into a job that was web development. I was pretty excited about it, but it turned out to be a pyramid scheme.
Oh shit.
No.
So I was like, okay, that was yeah. But then I prayed while I was there, and I ended up getting like a real job in like Columbus, Ohio. And I thought at the time, I was like, okay, like maybe this thing there's something to this, but I didn't really follow up much on it. I actually moved away from that whole church community. And then I got this random email from a friend that I went to college with, this Christian college with. He's like,
oh, I thought maybe it was a Nigerian prince or something that's going to give you.
No, I had enough skepticism.
$11 million. Okay.
And computer classes to know that thing happens. But I get this email. He's like, hey, I heard you're in this area, and I saw on Facebook that you were going to Bible things. Why don't you check out this other Bible study? And I'm like, well, I'm pretty lonely, and maybe there's something to this God thing, so fine. So I go, and it's all these college people that are trying to have this like strong sense of intellectualism while at the same time, you know, be really friendly and take an interest in you, and ask you a lot of questions, figure out what you believe, kind of why you believe it. And I was stunned. I had not, even the Christians that I was first dealing with, it was nothing like that. And
interesting.
It was really positive at the time. Oh, I'll get into why this is a mess, but
I'm catching some breadcrumbs here.
Yeah. So at the time I thought it was really positive. It was really exciting. It's pretty engaging. We were looking at the Bible in ways that I didn't think you really could. Kind of like, yes, Doorknob Head. They actually cared about, like, let's look at the Greek words of this. Let's talk about like what was going on in history. Let's talk about, you know, Rome. Let's talk about different ways of interpreting this and see which one we kind of land on by the end of it. And they were affiliated with like a non-denominational church. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I really liked it. And it was cool to see people my age doing that. And after a couple months of going and having the people, you know, investing themselves in me and meeting me for coffee and talking about the Bible, I actually thought like, wow, maybe this is real. You know, I remember sitting in someone's living room on OSU campus, and the passage was 1 Timothy 2:15-16, where it's like, I'm the foremost of all sinners, but God shows his like amazing patience and grace to even me. And I'm like, well, you know, if I did all that bad shit in college and high school, like certainly God can forgive me. I haven't killed anyone, you know, let's do this. So I like received Christ. Yeah, I guess now that with my skepticism, it's like, who knows what can happen with humans, but I remember, you know, someone asking me, they're like, you know, yeah, that verse really affected you. Why don't you just ask Jesus in your heart right now? And I said, okay. And I cried like a little baby, and I had like a great night's sleep or whatever. Right. Right. Yeah. This man jumping into my chest, but no, but no, it's all metaphorical and it's all spiritual. And
right.
Yeah. So I did that. I cried like a baby, had an amazing night's sleep. You know, this was like I want to say it's 13 years ago now. No, 12 years ago now. No, 13 years ago now. And I got more like once you make that decision for this kind of group of Christians, like it's almost like an invisible door opens up and the whole group treats you completely differently. Now you're basically like one of them, right? Basically. Yeah. You're one of them and you get invited to more things. It's like, hey, do you want to come to prayer group now? Like you can do that now because you have this like supernatural ability to pray for people and God's going to listen. So why not, dude? I'm like, what else are you doing? I'm like, yeah, you know what? That sounds cool. Why not? You know? And we're all young people and we would do our spiritual stuff and then like fuck around for a few hours afterwards. And it was fun at the time.
Define fuck around.
Okay, not that kind. Not that kind.
Okay, all right.
Unfortunately. So just kidding.
They always leave out the fun stuff.
Half kidding. So we could drink beer and stuff, but that was about the extent of it, right? Don't get drunk, don't get high, all that stuff.
Fuck, and then just drank. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Grape juice.
I already got shit faced a lot, so
fucking burning bush, man. Telling me I can't get high now.
That was Moses, dude. The
different it's still in the Bible.
Well, we don't know we don't know the properties of that bush.
Yeah.
I got one guess.
We know it wasn't fucking full of kerosene for fuck's sakes. Or what do they call that stuff that they put on like poles now, like telephone poles? What the hell is that shit called?
Oh no.
That brown shit that they smear all over telephone poles. It's actually pretty flammable.
That tar shit?
Yeah.
Oh, the pine tar?
Yeah, is that no? I don't think it's called pine tar. It's something else.
I don't know.
Anyway,
yeah. So then
they're smart people.
They have these
on poles. No.
Yeah, let's ask the chat what kind of stuff
that makes it hard for the strippers if you put lube on poles. Anyway, sorry to carry on.
No, you're good. Oh, coins.
Twice.
All right.
See, I knew it was coming. See,
I'm get confused.
No, I'm not.
So I'm getting these invites to the prayer group, and I'm going to that. And
so thank you, Hillbilly.
There was like the home study, and then there was like what they called like central teaching, where it was not Sunday morning, but like Monday nights to be like hip and available, right, for younger people. And so I was going to that, going to prayer group, going to home Bible study. So that's 3 things. And then they're like, why don't you come to the men's group? I'm like, yeah, like hang out with the dudes and study the Bible then too. Let's do that. And this would be like a 2.5 hour like endeavor of like reading a text, trying to interpret it, stuff like that. So there's 4. And when you're young and you're excited and you think you have the truth, this is the kind of thing that really works for you. It provides a lot of structure. It keeps you very busy. And I can honestly say like that on the one hand, looking back on this whole thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll say more about that. But at the time, for me, maybe mentally that was kind of okay. But there's things where I'm starting to go, I don't know so much anymore. But the appeal and there's another thing about this too, is that as you get more involved and you commit yourself to this, there's this like glimmer of hope that you could be doing this major impactful thing, right? That the more that you're devoting to what you think is the truth, to the mission of Jesus Christ and the mission of spreading the gospel or whatever, the more you study in, the more you invest yourself, your time, your money, your house, your talents and things like that, the more chances you're going to have, the more opportunities you're going to have for ministry, which could be like more formalized forms of leadership within the church. So it's highly encouraged that if you want to pursue, teaching in the group, that you give a certain amount of money to this church. That if you want to pursue,
because God is broke.
Right. But yeah. Or you can't just supply for the needs of the people that are supposed to do these kinds of things. Or if you want to if you want to do any kind of regular teaching, like that's a given, but also that you attend all the things, right? Like those 4 things that I mentioned, those are like the minimum if you want to be doing any kind of personal leadership, like within the college age, which is what I was involved in at the time, college age group. Oh, and in addition to that, you'd be meeting with someone younger than you or older than you in the Lord to be discipled. So you would be a disciple of someone, and or you'd be trying to disciple others. So you're trying to replicate yourself, right? You want to produce you want to asexually spawn another Jesus follower. I mean, through the Holy Spirit, of course. That's how that works. Yeah. Because it's only the Father who draws them and the Spirit who convicts their hearts, and then out pops a believer. Whoa, we're popping them out everywhere. These mentally distraught college age adults that don't know what to do with their lives. I mean, what?
Yeah, I'm gonna need that 10%. Then you know what?
Wasn't that high? 3 to 5. But anyway.
Oh, they were gracious.
Yeah. It adds up though with a couple thousand members. So Christian spores. Yes, Mikey. Sporianity. So I mean, we would say we got to plant our seed.
See?
So
that
generously.
Sound dirty at all.
I had to sow my holy oats. Anyway,
see, now that's why they kept you separate in your Bible reading classes. Sowing your wild oats and sporing in the
those young college girls, can't have them getting deep in the word with men.
But
these are the things, no joke. This is the kind of lingo that we would use together, right, with our bros or our sisters in Christ or whatever. Like, have you gotten deep in the word? Like, what is? Come on. It's only Song of Solomon on repeat. So
instead of licking her finger to turn the page, she's like got her whole thumb in her mouth. It's like, all right, boys and girls separate from now on. Can't have that anymore.
Stop saying the melon.
Jessica, you're going to be studying by yourself from now on.
So,
what the hell was I touching?
Yeah, the first year I got involved in like basically all the groups, right? All the available groups that I could. I moved in with 10 other Christian guys in like a double on campus, which it's like, geez. It was gnarly. And then I got married, and our marriage is good. I love my wife tons.
That's good.
Yeah. She has mixed feelings about my deconversion, whatever, but
she's still a believer?
Yeah, she is, and she still goes to this church or whatever. So I really involved myself, really tried to disciple. I really wanted to believe that this was true. Like, even in the first 2 months of receiving Christ, I remember going to work, and I'm this like 24-year-old dude, and I've got this like nearly 40 coworker, and I'm like, hey man, what do you think about God? And he's like, oh hell no. No, we're not talking about this. What kind of cult? He literally said, what kind of cult did you get into? Because a couple months before that, I had said nothing about this. Right. And so he was like, what the hell's going on with this guy? And I was like,
all of a sudden,
no, maybe I am in a cult. And so I went like bananas on like William Lane Craig and like apologetics. Yeah.
Oh,
but that had it didn't even make a dent. Like, that's how much I was excited like about Jesus. Like, no matter what detractions were coming my way, it was like, oh, these are great answers, right? Like, I've never heard this stuff before. This is amazing. I'm so convinced, and like I kept going.
Which are you talking about, like William's arguments?
Yeah, like the arguments
like
for existence.
Yeah.
Like
that kind of shit?
Because I'd never heard those things before, right? So
oh wow,
if you come from receiving Christ emotionally, I think I'm a high proponent of how Doug kind of thinks about things on Pine Creek. But like, if you come to Christianity with a poor epistemology and you're confronted with even stuff that sounds better or more philosophical or more sophisticated than you've ever thought of before, then that this makes it seem even more credible, right? I don't feel as incredulous or silly for believing what I believe, right? If there's an answer, great, let's run with that. Let's hang our heads on that. This will help us sleep at night, right? Or if this even seems remotely plausible, then it is the case, or at least that's how I look at it now. And it's very motivated reasoning on when you listen through like these kinds of arguments for the existence of God, especially if you came to the faith on a more emotional level.
Right.
But afterwards, go on.
I'm trying to remember what the fucking opening premise of the Kalam is. Everything that begins to exist, or something like that. Is that what that
oh my gosh, I used to know these by heart. Yeah, everything that begins to exist has an explanation for its existence.
Or a cause, I think.
Or a cause for its existence, yeah.
Which isn't necessarily true, so your first premise is already dubious.
Right, yeah. And we don't have any other examples to compare against than everything that presumably seems to have a cause, right? So, yeah. So, yeah, I understand these kind of failings of these arguments, but you're not exposed to those in the Christian circle I was in. So the detractors to our argument, or the detractors that were given in like our Bible teachings to these arguments are like decades old, where it's like people who aren't familiar with the more modern formulations of like the Kalam or moral argument and blah, 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 blah. It's like some out of context Dawkins quote or Bertrand Russell or some bullshit like from forever ago. And has nothing to do with the actual modern conversation on atheism, agnosticism, or any other kind of belief. So yeah, where do we go? So I'm still a new Christian. Thought I would have been convinced for bad reasons or whatever. Like, oh, maybe I did just do this on emotion. I need to back this up. I need to figure out that this is actually true. And once I did that, I actually just tabled it for a long while, really. I thought, there's a lot of historical reasons to believe. There's a lot of good intellectual reasons to believe. And all the people around me are more convinced and been doing this for decades. So how can I not keep going with this? And so I did. I even took hours and hours and hours of leadership training classes through this church. So I was doing all those other meetings, discipling people, and then I took 4-hour Wednesday night classes that would go through interpreting Romans 5, then Romans 6, then Romans 7, and figuring out like, what does justification really mean? Why are we this kind of non-denominational? Why are the Catholics a cult? Like everything that you wanted to know as a non-denominational Christian, you were going to learn through these classes, including how they would prefer to run their like Bible study groups.
Right.
And so the goal was to basically train me up to become some kind of like at least lay pastor level kind of person, or I'd be recognized as like a deacon in our fellowship, or to maybe teach like hundreds of people on the weekends. Like, and part of me really, really wanted that, to have this voice, to be told week in, week out, remember, you're here to make an eternal impact. Everything else around you is temporal. Everything else that you could possibly do is temporal. It's going to fade away and go to poo poo poo. So you got to do eternal stuff because that's what really matters, right? And so even quitting your job would be a goodness to work for the church.
Nothing's eternal, though.
Well, yeah, but you don't think that. But you just don't think that way. When I'm deep in it, I just could not think that way. It's like I was so personally convinced that eternity future was going to be a thing, that doing all the things I was doing was going to contribute to that in some nebulous way. And so I should do it. I should just tack on more. And if I feel like I can't, then how much is too much for my Savior is what I actually told. I was on another Christian's channel not long ago. And she's like, wow, you were really involved. And I was like, yeah, but how much is too much for your Savior, right? He purchased eternity for you. What's wrong with you? Why can't you do all this?
Well, if he phones you up and goes, oh, look, calm down, slow down, it's all good, then maybe that might be,
Right, yeah. He didn't tell me to stop. Balls deep, they say. Yeah. Right.
What number is this? 77777. What the hell? I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
He sent me the chill emoji. Wonder what that is.
I go to write a prayer in my prayer journal, but it's all chill emojis. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. So yeah, that when people ever, when I'm on chats now, with Christians on YouTube debates or whatever, they have the audacity to, when they don't know me personally, they just oh, you were never a real Christian. I'm like, don't insult me. Don't even try it, because and I eventually, through all these classes and personal involvement, I actually was leading small men's Bible studies on a regular basis, teaching out Genesis 1 through 50. I know all the stories. I know how to dance around interpreting the flood or the creation narratives and things like that. Teaching the Gospels, the epistles, discipling guys. I discipled 12 guys, not all at once. I didn't have 12 guys like Jesus.
I was about to say, hold on a minute, man.
But
you ever a carpenter before you went to college?
Right. No, I suck at making things with my hands if they aren't Legos. So yeah, that's the only carpentry I'm good at. But yeah, and I've read all the apologetics books. I still have them on my shelf. So I did this stuff for research 6 or 7 years. Then we went on to the adult ministry, which we viewed in the college group as being intense, involved people.
Oh, I thought maybe it was clothing optional or something.
No,
it was the 18 plus.
Adult.
One could only hope.
The XXX. Right?
This is for hardcore Christians.
It was actually the inverse. We viewed it as kind of going to pasture. That you've lost your usefulness and your youthful zeal. So it's time to graduate. It's time to move on and be a grown up.
Not so fresh anymore.
You're not the fresh Jesus meat. So you don't look as young and blushing to the bride of Christ or whatever. Anyway, so we hey, Satan's little helper. We went to the adult ministry, and we were involved in this community for a couple of years, and then the pandemic hits, and this is where it got messy for me. I was plugging along as a Christian, meeting with my guys regularly, doing 3 or 4 things a week, no problems. But the pandemic, I got pretty sick right before the pandemic, and it started to ease my involvement out of that constant flux of Christian voices and influence and community and whatnot. And then I got really sick, and then the pandemic happened, and we all had to go remote and do our own things. And we were doing Bible studies at home and hanging out a lot less. And I think through that kind of forced scaling back, it gave my mind and my social myself enough room to just be like, to chill out emoji. It's like Jesus sent me a chill out emoji. Like, this is what life is really like for most adults, right? Like, what I was doing was not normal by any American Christian metric even. And so I think by chilling out, and then like towards the first third of a year through the pandemic, I changed jobs, and I think that was a big personal mistake, and it ended up kind of being like a precept to like the spiritual mistakes my Christians might say. It really took a toll on me during the day, and so at night I'd find myself like really difficult to deal with my kids, wanting to drink a bit more than I was particularly proud of as being this like upstanding Christian or whatever, and not really desiring to like even go in person to these like Bible studies, or even go in person to or even check into the Zoom meeting of a teaching that I've heard 100 times over at this point.
Why go in?
Yeah, because I'm like 11 years in. It's like, what the hell am I gonna talk about for 45 minutes over Zoom that I haven't talked about 40 times before?
Yeah.
And that, when you start thinking that way after being that involved, yes, I am, Quill. I was like, wait, why am I thinking that way? Is the Holy Spirit not working in me? Right? Like, if I'm having these kinds of feelings about the things that I used to really love, like, where is God? Like, where is this Jesus? No. I will get in lots of trouble for that, but they don't meet on Saturdays.
Oh, there you go.
But that was like the what I would like to say is like the first ball rolling down the avalanche for me.
Well, the first domino falling.
Yeah, the first domino was like, I used to really love this. Supposedly, there's this Holy Spirit that should be motivating me to do this. That's what I'm going to pray for. That's the thing I'm going to expect to start happening. And so my prayer journals are just littered with like, Holy Spirit, please motivate me to like be this person I was that I have evidence for, right? Like, I have my gospel of, Nicodemus over here, like, who is this excited ass midnight convert? Like, let's go. Like, where's he at? And the cognitive dissonance to my own sense of self was just mounting and mounting, like over like a month or two. And then I, unfortunately, I decided to get really drunk one night. And I was like, what the hell? It was actually like the day after New Year's. And I was like, okay, what the hell's going on? Like, honestly, like, I've been praying for this for a month, and I just seem to be going the actual complete opposite direction.
Right.
And I sought counseling. I started seeing a Christian counselor.
First mistake.
And just through meeting with her, it became less and less about, could there actually be anything going on with like mentally and physically, but let's just always focus on the Bible stuff, the relationship with God stuff. And I actually come from a background of family that has like mental issues. Mm-hmm. And I actually was like, this is just not going to work. Like, I need to see a real person. And actually I got diagnosed with, post-traumatic stress and major depressive disorder. And I've gotten better medication, and I started improving from that, not from anything else. And that experience of switching from always feeling like I needed God as an answer to actual, physical, tangible help in this area started reshaping my thinking. But around that same time, January 6th happened. And I remember watching this on the news and going, one of my best apologetics is it was too early for this stuff to become a legend. And yet I'm the kind of person that doesn't believe the election is stolen. So there's people in my country right around me, night of the election, believe it's stolen. 2 months later, still believe it's stolen, and are marching potentially to their deaths and imprisonment in 2 months. And they believe something completely contrary to me, despite all the evidence, despite all the eyewitness testimony around them, despite doing any cursory Googling or fact checking, whatever. Despite the incredulity of these people, to me, was an immediate epistemology destroyer. I was like,
there's an issue with Googling and fact checking, because people will, first of all, a lot of nonsense comes up as your first like 4 or 5 options, right? They're usually ads of some kind.
Yeah.
And you if you don't know how to use the Google properly, then you're just gonna go and feed your own bias. Is all you're gonna do. My sister's famous for that.
In addition to that, though, is that your personal results are also somewhat based on your browsing history.
Yes, of course.
So if you're already, on like Mother Hen or whatever the hell that
Mother Jones.
Mother Jones, yes, thank you. Mother Jones, or Fucker Tarlson's.
Fucker Tarlson.
if you're already sucking the jugs of them, like you're gonna get more akin to that. Like if you type in like, was the election stolen? But at any rate, like let's say I'm completely wrong. So then in 2 months, I believe a narrative that's completely contrary to them, despite my best efforts. Right? Like, so I believe the legend that Biden won. Oh no. Like, so
because he did.
Yeah, shit.
People were finished with Trump. Trump is like, fuck you, get out of here, goofball.
Yeah. So, but to me, that just shows me that one of my best apologetics, one of my best personal reasons for continuing in my faith was bullshit. Like humans are just these incredulous creatures with a tremendous bias towards what they want to believe, that to assert that, or to even entertain that in 40 years, none of this happened with this kind of claim. Are you kidding me? In that, like from all the Bible studies that I had done of the ancient Near East and Greco-Roman culture and knowing about local myths and things like that, I'm like, this culture is prime for this stuff. Like, I all right. So now
it's like a rinse and repeat. They take the same old type of deities and then they just rinse and repeat and use them over and over again, and they all have the same properties.
Right.
Even the Abrahamic ones.
Yes.
There was originally a pantheon of deities in the Middle East as well, which ultimately became, that's why it says, I am the one true God, which is just a giveaway that, there must be other gods if he thinks he's the one true one. Like, you shall worship no other gods before me, which is an admission that there are other gods. And there was a whole pantheon. They had all kinds of different ones.
That's right. Well, at any rate, I was like, okay, that apologetics out the window. So let me try my best to try and re-up my faith. And my home Bible study group was going through the book of Joshua, which is like the best way to destroy your faith. To any Christian who decides to listen to this, go ahead. Go and try and go to toes with modern archaeology and the ancient Near East. You're gonna lose. You're gonna lose your faith. If you think the conquest happened, you're wrong. And it's okay.
It didn't happen. Noah's Ark didn't happen.
It didn't happen, and it's okay. You'll be okay. You can move on from this and it'll be okay. But if the Exodus doesn't happen, right, then damn it, like maybe we're all just wrong about the Exodus. Maybe we're just wrong about the conquest, but Jesus, he's the thing I'm gonna pinch everything on. And the YouTube algorithm was not kind to me in this regard, because during the election season, I actually stumbled upon like Telltale Atheist, and then I started seeing Gary, Prophet of Zod's content, and then I started seeing Paulogia's content, And I'm like,
Gary.
no. Yeah, that's his real name. Prophet Azad's. Is it Gary?
No, it's not Gary.
What's his real name? I forget what his real name is.
I'm not sure I'm allowed to say it.
Oh shit!
I think most people know who he is.
Right. Anyway,
it's me. Mikey Famine is his real name.
All right, that's it.
I am Prophet.
Speaking of Telltale, speaking of Telltale Atheist, though, I have his sister on Tuesday.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
At any rate, I started looking at the detracting claims to actually believing in Jesus and what it takes to do that. And I was like, these are arguments and things that I've never been confronted with. Like the detracting arguments are just never represented properly in my circle. And being exposed to this and seeing like how much failure there is in the philosophy of the things I believed, in the historical continuity of it, let alone the ideas of inerrancy, watching the moral argument for the existence of God just completely fail. I just couldn't keep holding on to it. And it took months for me to really get there, right? Like I was hearing over and over like these detracting arguments and issues with like the Bible and continuing in Jesus and things like that. And I'm just like, I was really wanting to hang on. Like I was still going to the Bible study groups and things like that. And I wouldn't say I was faking it, but like part of me was like, do these people know that this stuff is out here? Do they really engage with this in the way that I'm kind of doing? Like what's going on here? Like what's right. wrong, you know? And as being a person that was like trying to lead like these other guys, I kind of felt like I had to keep a lot of this journey a secret for a while. And I couldn't just outright say to them, you know, I think what we're doing here might be bullshit, guys. Like, so I also had to like tamp down this like personal secrecy and frustration, probably until last summer when I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to fucking be like, I'm not sure if I believe any of this anymore, and start talking with people in that kind of tone and demeanor. And one guy that I had met with for 6.5 years, he was like my discipler, my dude, my home group leader, talked to me after one of our meetings and was like, you know, I get it, man. Like some of this stuff is hard and you're really thinking through this stuff, but I think you might be sick until you get to heaven. And I'm like, dude, you're really going to say that to someone who's trying to recover from major depression and like, who's like being sincere with you, like that you're going to discount and trying to convince me of the truth of the arguments that we're talking about right now, and instead convey this like depressed or sense of worry over me that is ostensibly just mostly an emotionally appeal.
Right.
Really? That's where we're going to go? I was furious that night. And for weeks, it took me weeks to talk to him again. And I just stopped going to everything pretty much all at once. I was like, you know what? Nope. If that's how we're going to do, no. And when people caught wind of what I was going through, I went through this painful, keep in mind, like I have been involved with a lot of this group for like the adult group for like 6 years. So the people I was seeing in person, even during the pandemic, are people that to the most of the normal adult world would be like, that's a really damn good friend. You see that person every week. They know the names of your kids. They know your birthday. They know what you're into and what you're not. Like,
dude, I can get all that information off the internet.
All right, fine. But no, like, or that you've actually like watched the football games with them, or like gone to their sporting events and things like that, like, or played their card games or whatever, like in their board game. You've actually done the shit with them, right? And you've actually been there when their kids were like a day old and things like that, and held them and shit like that. And you're gonna then, once those people caught wind that this was my experience now, not a word. I'd show up to Bible study, not a word. You know, I was like a fucking ghost walking in there. Like, oh, he's here. Oh, okay. Hi.
Everyone ignore him.
Yeah, or like, and I did try to be as charitable as possible, where I would say, like, you know, I even was trying to be as upfront as possible with the leadership. Like, I'm really agnostic right now about all this. Like, I'm not going to say I'm an atheist. Like, I want to be a Christian. I want to go to heaven. I want to keep doing this. Like, you guys are my life. You know, you're my community. You know, but I'm not going to come here and, like, you know, be an ass about this. Like, if people want to talk to me about this, I'll talk. Please talk to me. And nobody, not one, wanted to do the arguments with me or like talk me off the ledge or whatever. And like in August or so,
aren't they supposed to though?
But the paragons of love should be trying to redeem and restore their brother, right? But
yeah, you would think.
So
they're not good Christians.
It was fucking hard, and it's been hard, like, to gradually kind of reassess like who I'm friends with and why. And I went on Pine Creek's channel in like August or September or something like that to like just vent mostly. And then he asked me a bunch of rapid fire questions, and you know, I was like, fuck, I don't think I can hold on to this. And after that, I started playing poker with them, and I found your channel and other channels like you, and trying to involve myself in like being a presence online and things like that, and talking to people and meeting people where they're at. And
now I know Neil has 3 shows a week, but it's not like the Bible study where it's like 4 hours. There's going to be lectures. It's just it's not that serious. Please don't go gung ho in here.
No.
Can't keep up.
No.
Oh, we got Russian porn bots in the chat.
Hey, porn bot.
You know you've made it when.
So one thing that like is like one thing that's like a reoccurring theme like throughout your entire story is like this emotional hostage-ing and like this guilting, and then like because that's like they brought you into the fold because they knew you were emotionally vulnerable. They gave you that sense of friendship and that fellowship or whatever. And then as soon as you don't do what they want, they take it away and they just leave you out there damaged and scared and alone. And that's the worst part because because it's like if they would have just left you alone in the first place, you probably would have sought help sooner and got your life figured out. But they just drew it out and just let me see how much use I can get out of him first. Well, if he's used up his usefulness, so let's just throw him out in the cold now. That's just so shitty.
Yeah. One thing I would say though is that, and I recognize even this in myself, is that from talking even to my wife about it, it's like they just cannot see it that way, or they just don't, right? They think that like what they're doing is re-engineering you, or not re-enginering, but revivifying you. No, revivifying you with the Holy Spirit for an eternal purpose.
Reprogramming.
But yes, we understand that's what, or I understand it somewhat as that. Yeah, that's actually what it is. But
we're just going to switch you to Linux real quick.
Yeah, one of the most nefarious things that I figured out was going on, and unfortunately I partook in this, was this warm reading tactic of conversion where let's put me back in my own story, right? Like I'm the non-Christian and I have a private conversation with, Tommy over here. And then Tommy, who's being discipled by Timmy, talks to Timmy And Timmy then does a Bible study teaching that refers back to details of that private conversation.
Right.
And I'm here going, oh, how does Timmy know? Because I don't know that Timmy and Tommy have that fucking relationship where they're talking about personal details about me.
Right.
But they do it all the time. And they say that's bringing heat in your teaching, or that's speaking truth to the situations of the people in your congregation or whatever, or your group, or whatever. Yeah. But it's total emotional manipulation, totally, right. And it's gross. And I'm so angry that the group does that and has no clue. And it's partly why tons of mice. That was hilarious. Unfortunately, Carol, yes. But not in the college group, at least, where most of that goes on. So yeah, the adult group is not as bad with that, but I wanted to be like an atheist activist against it for that sole reason, is that it preys upon these kinds of people and these kinds of experiences. But I've been talked down from that, as it were. But I do want to have some kind of involvement and just be here for people, because I see how important that is, regardless of what you believe.
Yes, it is. It is. Do you have any ideas on what you might want to do with your channel?
I do. I have a couple of videos of topics topic ideas that I want to launch into that I think are interesting and is not well covered or of like kind of available or talked about as much, even by atheists. Jonathan M.S. Pierce kind of does some of these, but he's like in the UK and he has his own thing. So maybe my spin would be different, or just a different way for people to engage. So yeah, I have a couple ideas about that. So mostly would center around real conversations I've had, or like real thoughts about, or like a collection of my thoughts about like more difficult plot holes in Christianity that aren't usually addressed by like particularly atheist channels. One of my favorites that I've been thinking of recently, and since I've been as engaged with the content, I think my deconversion's gone a lot faster than other people's. Maybe, I don't know.
It varies, honestly.
Yeah,
it really does vary.
A couple months,
it can take years, or it can be almost instantaneous sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of at a point now, though, it's like where I can say out loud something like, Jesus died for my inability to kill a homosexual, right? Like, I don't think as a newly deconverted Christian, you would just blurt that one out, or Jesus died for my desire to wear mixed fabrics, right? Or like just stuff that's like odd, but like so true. Like, Jesus died for my inability to feed my wife infidelitous wife bitter water. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
these odd laws where you would, that's a whole tangent for the after show, I guess. But
sure, yeah, we'll talk about all kinds of stuff in the after.
Yeah, that's one where I want to like really highlight to yes, Jesus died for my shrimp boil. Where I don't see it posed that way, right? Like, the New Testament doesn't make a distinction between what parts of the law Jesus died for and he didn't, right?
He died so I could eat bacon.
Right, yeah. Like, any transgression would be something that of the Old Testament law, ostensibly, from what I gather, the New Testament, I think most people, any transgression needs the atonement, right?
Right.
So now you got to call up all the weird stuff. And like, Jesus died for the weird stuff. Like, and sit down, look yourself in the mirror and go, Jesus died for my inability to kill Greg.
I can't get past I can't get past the whole fact that the whole thing's a scam. Because Jesus died really for nothing. Because if you think about it, if God is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, yada yada, all that other bullshit, then he already knew everything that's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? He already knew Adam and Eve were going to fall in the garden. He knew that ahead of time. But he went ahead with the whole thing anyways. So it's a setup.
Yep. Yes, thank you, Quill. Yes, hashtag Jesus died for the weird stuff. Yes, I want that to be the hashtag of this show. Jesus died for the weird stuff.
We can make that happen.
I want that to go on every damn atheist channel, even if I don't get around to making the video. Just let Vice Rhino and everybody else run with it. Just Jesus died for the weird stuff, and then make the Christians go, oh, but he didn't. But it was because you murdered, you masturbate to porn.
What else are you supposed to do to porn? But anyway,
he could have put the tree on like an island or something. And then like there's like, they probably don't know how to swim yet. It'll be safe there for a while. I was like, no, I put it right in there. In their backyard.
Yeah.
Right,
and you know what's great for me, and one of the things I will say about other content creators is that the cartoon approach actually, I think, did help me quite a bit. Because it's really not channels with that. It's not like, listening, stepping right into like, Matt yelling at you.
Yeah, people are getting kind of tired of that now, I think.
Right. But it allows that dissonance, right? It's like, oh, it's a cartoon. Or I can laugh at how silly my beliefs are and not really think much of it. But then you actually start thinking about what the cartoons are doing, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yep.
So it helps with the dissonance.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Like one of my favorite animated cartoons was from Dark Matter with when God meets God or whatever.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see that one until a couple months ago, really.
It's a funny one.
Yeah.
The Christian Book and Sexy Toy Shop. What the hell? Ox? Oh, it's Ox. Fucking Ox.
Ox.
Thanks, Derek. Derek is like always in the chat. Jesus died for the weird stuff. Yeah, well, there it is right there. It's a new hashtag. Get that shit going.
It has begun.
Sweet. I'm glad.
I'm still trying to get him on the show.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be.
He's an intense guy, man.
Yes, he is. But it hasn't worked so far. I've messaged him. I've had friends message him, so I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, and theremin trees. If people don't know about
he's awesome.
Trees,
very well done.
Go watch theremin trees, because that stuff early on in my deconstruction or whatever, and thinking about this stuff and listening to his testimony of it, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
This is the way I can really understand this. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you went through a traumatic period with all that as well, right? Like he really tackles that really well.
Yep.
But anyways, enough touting of the other tubers. People know who these guys are, and they've probably seen lots of the videos.
Yep. Yes. But I want to say to everyone, I am really trying to nail down how I want to do content. I really want to put something out. I really want to be involved with people.
Well, you will.
So
you will, and you'll put your spin on everything, and it'll be your own unique package. So, by the way, guys, there is a link to Nidimos. I like Nidimos myself, but anyway, down below for his YouTube channel. So when he does actually get things going, you can be subscribed.
Yeah, I'm pretty recent. It's okay. You can wait till I have something there and let the YouTube algorithm be like, oh, hey.
Well, if people subscribe to you now, they'll see as soon as you go live. Right?
Sure, it's true. Especially I had to wait the 24 hours. I just re-enabled that for my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yeah, so I might actually even just do a live and just freewheel it, just so I don't have to worry about it as much, and so everyone can understand. Yeah. Oh, he was live. I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot. I hear that. Well, that's one of the things I was aiming for with this show is to have people introduce some more people in the community too. But that's what the after party part of it is all about, right? And
yeah, you know what, Quill? I agree.
Support each other.
If I just wait too long, maybe, I should just go with OBS and my little animated guy and go for it.
Yeah, why not?
My animated self, and then pop on every once in a while with my background and face.
Yeah, I got to figure out how I'm gonna do, because I'm probably gonna use my other channel, my channel, which is the gaming channel, for when I start building all the Lego sets. Actually, I'll probably do it through this channel. I'll just have because I got a whole fucking shit ton of them now. So
I bought this really cheap this thing holds your phone so that you can have a camera right over your hands while you build.
Yeah, nice.
So if you ever want, I'll link to this thing I bought to film multi-angle building.
I have all kinds of shit here. But
I don't know how much stuff you already have. But yeah, I'm collecting Lego. That's one of the things I really like. We could talk about that more in the after show too.
This is my newest one here that I finally picked up. The Imperial Droid.
Hell yeah. I found I troll Facebook Marketplace for Lego. And I found the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 Milano ship. And I bought that for my son because he really likes the Guardians of the Galaxy. So, yeah.
As he should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should do through Twitch too. Yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah.
I will but I want to figure out how to do where I can have two because I also have my other camera, which I could probably this little guy right here. It's an older one, but it still works. It's 1080, so it's one of them old little hand cams that I used to use to make all my Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Right when I go and set it up and
yes, filming. Yes, it does.
So I could probably use this as well, and this camera.
Now, guys, you guys probably can't tell. That's actually like one of those cameras you sit on your shoulder. Neil's hands are just very large.
I'm a big person. These are actually professional.
He's a giant. Yeah. Do you guys have any other questions about like my church experience or things that I went through before we end this part of the stream?
Before we depart.
After show.
Holy shit. What the hell?
Yeah. Because I know an hour has gone by.
Yeah, they'll be fine. We'll take as long as we need to. We'll wait. So do you have like any like FOMO of stuff that like you didn't get to do because you were so engrossed in the religious stuff that like you missed out on like I should have went to this concert to see this band, but I couldn't go because it would have been bad. And like, is there any stuff like that you feel like you missed out on?
So yeah, I didn't really talk much about that, but when I was a pretty devout Christian, I did distinctly reduce my involvement in a DJ crew that I was involved in because I was a Christian, because I had these weekend commitments now that I thought were my internal investment. So I stopped being an electro house DJ, basically.
And you could totally do that. You could be the atheist DJ. Get you a Twitch stream. You get you some turntables.
Electro house isn't like no, I'm a deconvert ox. Recent deconvert. So, but yeah, because I was so committed to it, I took that out of like my schedule and talent development and all that stuff. Focused on my marriage and trying to learn the Bible and things like that. But and then there were a couple jobs that I had turned down because God planted me in Columbus, right? So, and I gotta stay here and do that thing.
The home of the Ohio State University.
Yeah, the best damn band in the land.
fucking Buckeyes.
Yeah, we're incredulous. But yeah, so but I don't, when I look at my life now, I don't have anything to be that sad about.
Right.
Like I've got two amazing kids. I have a very patient and loving wife, and
that's great.
And I have a good job. I'm in a house, and I can fuck around on YouTube. So
it's important. Not ideal, but turned out all right.
Yeah, I'm turning out all right.
Yeah.
So
that's all that. That's important.
Yeah.
Take us home, Neil.
Yeah, sorry, I'm fucking floundering around.
I have to do the coins here, and I've actually been drinking coins hit. So
joke's on you. I've been drinking energy drink.
This is
not even drunk today.
Dire Wolf's Coffee Joy.
Ooh.
Imperial Stout with coconut, cacao, coffee, and vanilla. I'd recommend
coconut.
Dave, also known as Simply Secular, just sent me a message. It got sent home from work here. There's no rail operations controller, so I caught most of the show on the way home. I'm just picking up some A&W, and then I'll go catch the after show shortly.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Simply Secular Dave will be in the chat.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks, Nick, for joining me today, man. Pleasure having you on.
Yes. I
completely mesmerized by the purpley shit flowing in the background.
Yes, I'm so glad it's working.
Step 1, bedazzle my background.
With the Marvel characters, it's just, I just love it. And hold on, where's the remote at? I can fuck around with it a little bit while we're still on.
Neil, I should get one of those, and it should be green, and my green screen will be flipping around like that.
You mean like this?
Right, and then I'll chroma key out all the green light, and then
you can speed it up or slow it down too. You can stop it basically, or speed it up, or you can just do red and green. Red. This thing's at Walmart. It's $20. Go nuts.
You said nothing but a word.
I'm gonna have to find that.
Already on it.
It's the Holy Spirit trying to escape the room, and it has a music mode if you want to get down to a dance party. So. For my electro house DJing that I don't do anymore.
Right on. Well, that's what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little dance and whatnot in the after party there, guys. Make a little love. Get down tonight. Woo!
Cheers, y'all. Feel free to hit me up.
Yeah, links are in the description box. Also, a link to the after parties down there in the description box. You guys there in the chat, thank you for hanging out with us for this episode. Appreciate you guys being here. Over on Twitch and Twitter and here on the YouTubes.
Jesus died for the weird stuff.
Jesus died for the weird stuff. Yeah, we need to make that hashtag one now. We'll do that for sure.
On the thinky tweet for sure.
All right. Yeah, and my patrons, you amazing folks. Thank you guys for everything you do for the show. I very much appreciate it. And all the other shows that you guys know I'm involved with, links are below. If you don't know where to find them, you can now. That's it, guys. We're going to wrap this up and get into an after party. If you want to be involved in the after party, just let myself or Mikey know through one form or another of the social media platforms there, and we will send you a link. Already Stags is like, link me over. He's going to need it over in Discord. So, Bolt, what's up, brother?
Oh, you guys have a Discord too? I'll have to
there's
hop around on there. Okay.
I'm like never in there. I hate fucking Discord, but someone's like, you should do a Discord. I'm like, okay, I'll do a Discord.
I've been on there less, but now maybe I'll be on there more.
There's so many notifications on fucking Discord.
Oh, fuck. I know.
God.
Drives me nuts. I'm on way too many of them too. Anyway, that's it, guys. We're gonna get the hell out of here and get into the after party. We're gonna take a bit of a break, so we should be going sometime around 6:30ish. So. Right, like I always say at the end of the interviews, like the late great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye. Untangled.